The crystal vase shattered against the kitchen tile, scattering fragments like fallen stars across the floor. Olivia Harrington froze, her hand still extended in the empty air where the vase had been moments before. The wedding invitation lay open on the counter, its elegant calligraphy mocking her with its formal simplicity. Mr. and Mrs. Charles Ellison request the pleasure of your company at the marriage of their daughter, Vanessa Marie Ellison, to Dr. Benjamin Thomas Harrington. Olivia stared at the precise lettering, the fancy embossed borders, and most devastatingly, the small handwritten note at the bottom in her son's familiar scrawl. "Mom, I really hope you can be happy for us this time. Ben." This time. As if she'd been the unreasonable one. As if she'd been the one pushing everyone away. Olivia fumbled for her phone, heart racing as she dialed Ben's number from memory. 1 ring. 2. 3. Then voicemail. Again. "Ben, it's Mom. I got the invitation. Please call me back. We need to talk about this. It's happening so fast, and she stopped herself. That was exactly the kind of response that had widened the gulf between them. "I just want to talk. Please." She hung up, knowing he wouldn't call back. Not anymore. Not since Vanessa had entered his life 18 months ago, systematically excising Olivia from her only son's world. The doorbell's sudden chime startled her. Olivia stepped carefully around the broken glass, straightening her cardigan as she moved toward the front door. Through the peephole, she saw her sister Catherine's concerned face. "I came as soon as I got your text," Catherine said, sweeping into the house in a cloud of expensive perfume. Her eyes darted to Olivia's trembling hands. "You're shaking. What happened?" Wordlessly, Olivia led her to the kitchen, pointing at the invitation. "Ah," Catherine said, understanding immediately. "The formal announcement. And you weren't consulted." "He's marrying her in 6 weeks, Olivia whispered. 6 weeks, Kath. They've known each other for barely a year and a half. "Well, he is 34, Catherine offered gently. "Many men his age." "This isn't about his age," Olivia snapped. "It's about her. There's something wrong with her. I've felt it from the day they met." Catherine sighed, her fingers tapping against the marble countertop. "Olivia, we've been over this. Your instincts about Vanessa." "My instincts are perfectly sound," Olivia interrupted, bending to pick up fragments of the broken vase. "Did you know she convinced him to put their new house solely in his name? She said it was for tax purposes because of his higher income bracket." She mimicked Vanessa's silky voice. "A woman who truly loves my son wouldn't be calculating tax advantages. She'd want to build something together." "Or maybe she's practical," Catherine suggested. "Ben is a successful surgeon, and she works at a non-profit. The income disparity is significant." Olivia dumped the glass shards into the trash with more force than necessary. "I raised him alone after Robert died. 28 years, Kath. I worked 2 jobs to put him through medical school. I was there for every award, every setback, every heartbreak. And now? I'm lucky if he returns my calls once a month. Have you considered that perhaps your intensity might be pushing him away?" Catherine asked delicately. "You've always been protective, Olivia. But he's a grown man." Olivia stiffened. "So everyone keeps reminding me." "Look," Catherine said, her tone softening. "Go to the wedding. Smile. Behave yourself. Try to see what Ben sees in her. Because if you keep this up, you'll lose him completely." Later that night, After Catherine had gone, Olivia sat alone in her study, a leather-bound album open on her lap. Baby Benjamin, with his shock of dark hair and serious eyes. Ben at 8, proudly displaying a science fair ribbon. Ben on his first day of medical school, standing tall beside her, his arm around her shoulders. "What is she doing to you?" Olivia whispered to the smiling faces frozen in time. "Why can't you see it?" Her phone pinged with a text message. For a moment, hope flared, perhaps Ben had responded. But it was from Catherine. "I just spoke with Ben. He said you've been calling Vanessa's workplace and questioning her coworkers." "Olivia, for God's sake, stop. This isn't helping." Olivia's cheeks burned with indignation. She had called the Wellspring Foundation exactly once, and only because Vanessa's story about her position there had seemed inconsistent. She'd simply wanted to verify that Vanessa was indeed their development director, as she claimed. The receptionist had been oddly evasive. Olivia closed the album with a sigh. 6 weeks until the wedding. 6 weeks to figure out what Vanessa was really after. Because one thing Olivia Harrington knew with bone-deep certainty, that woman was not in love with her son. And she would prove it before it was too late. The Ellison estate sprawled across 3 manicured acres in Westbrook Hills, its pristine white facade gleaming in the late afternoon sun. Olivia gripped her steering wheel, her knuckles whitening as she surveyed what could only be described as obscene wealth. Old money, clearly. Which made Vanessa's interest in Ben's comparatively modest surgeon's salary all the more perplexing. The rehearsal dinner wouldn't start for another 2 hours, but Olivia had come early, determined to have a moment alone with her son. She'd spent the past 6 weeks trying to reach him, sending texts, emails, even a handwritten letter. All met with polite but distant replies or, more often, silence. Yesterday, she'd received her first direct communication from Ben in months, a terse voicemail. "Mom, please don't try to corner Vanessa at the rehearsal dinner. Don't interrogate her family. Just be normal. For me. Please. Normal." As if her concern was some sort of pathology. Olivia checked her makeup in the rearview mirror, applied a fresh coat of lipstick, and stepped out of her car. A young valet approached, his expression professionally blank. "I'm Dr. Harrington's mother," she said, handing him her keys. "I believe I'm a bit early." The main house was a flurry of activity, florists arranging towering centerpieces, caterers setting up elegant stations, and a small army of staff positioning tables and chairs on the vast terrace overlooking the garden. Olivia slipped through the chaos, searching for any sign of her son. Instead, she found Vanessa. The younger woman stood in the grand foyer, issuing instructions to a harried-looking event planner. In her sleek ivory pantsuit, with her honey blonde hair swept into an immaculate chignon, Vanessa radiated control. She glanced up, her perfect smile faltering for just an instant as she spotted Olivia. "Olivia. What a surprise. We weren't expecting guests for another hour at least." Her voice was melodic, practiced, revealing nothing of the tension between them. "I thought I might help with any last-minute preparations," Olivia replied smoothly. "Is Ben around?" "He's getting dressed. You know how men are about formal events." Vanessa laughed lightly, dismissing the event planner with a flick of her manicured fingers. "We're so glad you could make it. I know how important it is to Ben that you be here." "Does he?" Olivia countered. "I've barely spoken to my son in months." Vanessa's smile remained fixed, but something hard flashed in her eyes. "Ben's been swamped with his new position at the hospital." I'm sure he's mentioned how demanding the transition has been. Actually, he hasn't mentioned much of anything lately. Not since you decided I was too, what was the term you used? Emotionally suffocating? A brief, ugly silence stretched between them. Then Vanessa stepped closer, lowering her voice. I never said that, Olivia. But I do think Ben is trying to establish healthy boundaries. Surely you want that for him? Before Olivia could respond, a familiar voice called out from the grand staircase. Mom? What are you doing here so early? Ben descended the stairs, handsome in his tailored suit, his dark hair combed back from his forehead. For a moment, he looked so much like his father that it stole Olivia's breath. I wanted to see you before everything got underway, she said, moving toward him. We've hardly spoken. Ben exchanged a quick glance with Vanessa, some silent communication passing between them. I've been busy, Mom. The new cardio unit, wedding planning, it's been crazy. Too busy to return your mother's calls? The words escaped before she could stop them. Ben sighed, running a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it made Olivia's heart ache. Could we not do this right now? Please? It's our rehearsal dinner. Of course, Olivia agreed quickly, forcing a smile. I'm just happy to see you, that's all. An uncomfortable silence fell. Vanessa broke it with practiced charm. Why don't I show you to the guest suite, Olivia? You can freshen up before the other guests arrive. As they walked through the mansion's opulent corridors, Olivia couldn't help but notice how at home Vanessa seemed here, navigating the grand spaces with easy familiarity. Your parents' home is quite impressive, Olivia remarked. Did you grow up here? My parents believe in creating beautiful environments, Vanessa replied, neatly sidestepping the question. Beauty inspires excellence, my father always says. And what does your father do, exactly? Ben mentioned something about international finance? Vanessa paused outside a door, her smile never wavering. Daddy has interests in various sectors. Here we are, your room for the weekend. The bathroom is fully stocked, but if you need anything, just ring for the staff. Ring for the staff. As if Olivia were accustomed to such things. Thank you, Vanessa. I'm looking forward to getting to know your family better. Vanessa's perfect composure slipped, just for a second. Of course. Well, I should check on the caterers. We'll see you downstairs in an hour or so. Alone in the lavishly appointed guest suite, Olivia let out a long breath. Then she did what she'd come early to do, she began to search for information. Starting with the woman who was about to become her daughter-in-law. The rehearsal dinner unfolded like a scene from a glossy magazine, flawless in its execution, utterly devoid of warmth. Olivia sat at a table with distant Ellison relatives, nursing a glass of champagne and watching the interactions around her with a detective's eye. Charles Ellison, Vanessa's father, held court at the main table, a distinguished-looking man with silvering temples and the practiced charm of someone accustomed to power. His wife, Margaret, was a more reserved presence, elegant in understated diamonds, her eyes constantly scanning the room as if assessing threats. But it was Vanessa who commanded the space, moving from table to table with practiced grace, her laugh tinkling like expensive crystal. The perfect hostess. The perfect fiancé. The perfect fraud. During her brief investigation, Olivia had discovered several disturbing inconsistencies. The Wellspring Foundation, where Vanessa claimed to be development director, had no record of her employment when Olivia called again this morning. The prestigious MBA from Wharton that Ben had mentioned? The alumni directory showed no Vanessa Ellison graduating in the last decade. Most concerning of all, a casual mention of the Ellison name to Olivia's friend in banking had elicited a curious response. Ellison? As in Charles Ellison? I thought he was still dealing with that SEC investigation. Across the room, Ben caught her eye and offered a tentative smile. Olivia smiled back, her heart aching. What had happened to her son, who once told her everything? The boy who'd come to her with every triumph and heartbreak? She excused herself from the table and made her way to the powder room, needing a moment alone. As she approached, she heard raised voices from a nearby study. Can't keep stalling, Vanessa. The clock is ticking. Charles Ellison's voice, tense and low. I'm handling it, Daddy. The accounts will be accessible after the wedding. Trust me. We need those funds now. The investors are getting nervous. If they pull out. They won't. Vanessa's voice was calm, assured. I've seen his portfolio. It's more than enough to cover the shortfall until the Dubai deal closes. Olivia froze, her blood running cold. His portfolio. Ben's portfolio. And he suspects nothing? Charles asked. Please. Vanessa laughed softly. He's completely besotted. Thinks we're setting up joint accounts next week to begin our life together. I almost feel bad for him, honestly. Don't. Charles's voice hardened. People like him are a means to an end. Nothing more. Footsteps approached the door. Olivia quickly slipped into an adjacent room, her heart hammering in her chest. She'd been right all along. Vanessa was using Ben, targeting his money, his stability, his trust. But who would believe her? She had no proof beyond an overheard conversation. And Ben. Ben would see any attempt to warn him as further evidence of her interference. When she returned to the party, Olivia found Ben standing alone near the terrace doors. Everything okay, Mom? He asked, his expression guarded. You look upset. She hesitated, weighing her words carefully. Ben, has Vanessa asked you to move any money recently? Or change your accounts? His face immediately closed up. Not this again. Mom, I know you have some bizarre vendetta against Vanessa, but this is getting ridiculous. Please, just answer me. Has she? We're getting married, he said stiffly. Of course we've discussed finances. That's what responsible adults do. Ben, I need you to listen to me. I just overheard. No. He cut her off, his voice low but firm. I don't want to hear whatever new conspiracy theory you've concocted. Vanessa warned me you might try something like this weekend. She warned you? Olivia echoed, incredulous. She said you'd try to come between us, right up to the last minute. God, I didn't want to believe her, but here you are, right on cue. Olivia felt as if she'd been struck. Ben, please. I think you should leave, he said quietly. I'll make your excuses to the Ellisons. You're choosing her over your own mother? Ben, I raised you alone. I gave you everything. His face hardened. And now you think that entitles you to control my life? My relationships? This is exactly the problem, Mom. You can't let go. I'm trying to protect you. I don't need your protection. I need you to respect my choices. He glanced across the room, where Vanessa was watching them with a concerned expression. Please, just go. We'll talk after the honeymoon, when things have settled down. Olivia knew that look in his eyes, the same stubborn determination he'd inherited from his father. There would be no convincing him tonight. All right, she said finally. But Ben, promise me one thing. Before you merge any accounts, before you sign anything, please make sure you know exactly what you're getting into. He didn't answer, simply turned and walked back to his fiancée, leaving Olivia alone with the terrible knowledge that her son was walking into a trap, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. The wedding itself was a blur of white roses, string quartets, and champagne toasts. Olivia sat in the front row, a frozen smile on her face as she watched her only son pledge his life to a woman who saw him as nothing more than a financial resource. She'd spent the night researching Charles Ellison and found disturbing reports about failed investments, lawsuits from angry clients, and rumors of financial malpractice. The grand estate, the lavish lifestyle, it was all a facade, propped up by smoke and mirrors. And now they needed Ben's carefully built security to shore up their collapsing house of cards. During the reception, Olivia watched from a distance as Ben and Vanessa moved among their guests, the perfect newlywed couple. Vanessa's hand rested possessively on Ben's arm, her diamond ring catching the light with every gesture. A $500,000 promise on her finger, Ben had mentioned the price in a rare moment of communication, proud that he could give his bride what she deserved. They look happy, don't they? Catherine appeared at Olivia's side, champagne flute in hand. You should be proud. He's glowing. He's in love, Olivia replied quietly. That's the problem. Catherine sighed. Still convinced she's after his money? I know she is, Kath. I overheard her discussing it with her father. Discussing what, exactly? Something about accessing Ben's accounts after the wedding. Covering a shortfall until some Dubai deal closes. Olivia took a long sip of champagne. They're in financial trouble, and Ben is their bailout plan. Olivia. Catherine placed a firm hand on her arm. Listen to yourself. This sounds like the plot of a bad movie. Life often does. Have you considered that maybe, just maybe, you're looking for problems where none exist? Catherine's voice was gentle but insistent. That perhaps you're struggling with Ben growing up, building his own family? Olivia pulled away. Don't patronize me. I know what I heard. Before Catherine could respond, Charles Ellison approached them, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. Olivia, I've been hoping to speak with you. He extended his hand. Charles Ellison. A pleasure to finally meet Ben's mother properly. Olivia accepted his handshake, noting the expensive watch on his wrist. Mr. Ellison. Lovely ceremony. Please, call me Charles. After all, we're family now. His smile remained fixed, calculating. I understand you've been concerned about Vanessa's intentions toward your son. A chill ran through Olivia. I'm concerned about my son's happiness. As any mother would be. Of course, of course. Charles nodded sympathetically. But I want to assure you, the Ellisons take care of their own. Ben is part of our family now. He'll want for nothing. Ben has never wanted for anything, Olivia replied evenly. He's built a good life for himself. A successful career. Financial stability. Something flickered in Charles's eyes. Indeed he has. You've raised a remarkable young man, Olivia. Smart. Hardworking. Trusting. The emphasis on that last word was subtle but unmistakable. A warning, perhaps. Or a taunt. Too trusting, sometimes, Olivia agreed, holding his gaze. But he has me to look out for him. Charles's smile tightened. How fortunate. Though I imagine a successful surgeon in his 30s might prefer to manage his own affairs. One would hope he'd be allowed to. The tension between them was palpable. Catherine cleared her throat awkwardly. If you'll excuse me, Olivia said, I should congratulate the happy couple. As she walked away, she felt Charles's eyes following her, calculating, assessing the threat she posed. Olivia straightened her shoulders. Let him watch. Let him wonder. She wasn't backing down. Ben was deep in conversation with college friends when she approached. He tensed slightly at her presence, but his smile seemed genuine. Mom. You look beautiful. Thank you. You look happy. She embraced him, holding on perhaps a moment too long. I want you to know, I only want what's best for you, Ben. I always have. His expression softened. I know, Mom. But you have to trust me to know what that is. I do trust you. It's just. She hesitated. Remember what I said? About being careful with your accounts. The warmth in his eyes immediately cooled. Mom. Not today. Please. I'm not trying to ruin anything. I'm trying to protect you. From my wife? His voice was low, controlled. From people who might not have your best interests at heart. Ben glanced across the room to where Vanessa was laughing with bridesmaids. She loves me, Mom. Why is that so hard for you to accept? Because she doesn't, Olivia wanted to scream. Because I heard her say as much. But the words caught in her throat. What proof did she have beyond an overheard conversation? I hope you're right, she said finally. I hope I'm wrong about everything. You are. He squeezed her hand, a peace offering. Give Vanessa a chance. For me. She's my wife now. Wife. The word felt like a door closing between them. I should let you get back to your guests, Olivia said. Be happy, Ben. That's all I want. As she turned to leave, Vanessa appeared at Ben's side, sliding her arm through his possessively. Mrs. Harrington, she said, her smile brittle. Thank you so much for coming. I know how much it means to Ben. I wouldn't have missed it. Olivia managed a polite smile. Congratulations to you both. Vanessa's eyes were calculating, triumphant. She'd won, and she knew it. We're off to Bali tomorrow, she announced. 3 glorious weeks. I've convinced Ben to leave his phone behind. A proper digital detox. Of course you have, Olivia thought. 3 weeks where he'd be completely isolated, unable to be reached. How perfect, she said aloud. Ben has always enjoyed traveling. We should go greet your parents, Ben told Vanessa, clearly eager to end the conversation. Of course, darling. Vanessa smiled up at him adoringly. Then, to Olivia, we'll see you at the Christensens' summer party when we're back. If you're not too busy, of course. A clear dismissal. Olivia watched them walk away, her heart heavy. 3 weeks. Whatever Vanessa and her father were planning, they'd have 3 weeks to execute it without interference. The question was, what could Olivia do in those same 3 weeks? The answer came in the form of Lucas Miller, a private investigator recommended by a colleague from Olivia's teaching days. They met in a quiet cafe 2 days after the wedding, Lucas's weathered face serious as she outlined her concerns. So you believe your new daughter-in-law and her family are targeting your son's assets, he summarized, making notes in a small leather-bound book. Based on an overheard conversation and some inconsistencies in her background. I know how it sounds, Olivia admitted. But my instincts about Vanessa have been screaming from day one. And now that I've met her father. Charles Ellison, Lucas mused. The name rings a bell. He claims to be in international finance. But I've found references to SEC investigations, lawsuits from investors. Let me look into it, Lucas interrupted, his expression thoughtful. Financial fraudsters often have patterns. If the Ellisons are running some kind of con, there will be breadcrumbs. And if I'm wrong? Olivia asked quietly. If I'm just a paranoid mother who can't let go. Lucas's smile was kind. Then you pay my fee, and I give you peace of mind. Win-win. Over the next 2 weeks, Olivia threw herself into helping Lucas's investigation, providing every scrap of information she had on the Ellisons. She forwarded Ben's sporadic honeymoon emails to Lucas, looking for clues about their movements, their discussions of future plans. The rare photos Ben sent showed him smiling, happy, completely unaware of the storm gathering around him. I've found something, Lucas called her on the 17th day, his voice tight with urgency. The Ellison estate, it's not theirs. It's a rental, leased for 6 months. And the staff? Hired specifically for the wedding weekend. All paid in cash. Olivia's pulse quickened. What about Charles? The SEC investigations? There was a Charles Ellison involved in a Ponzi scheme in Florida 5 years ago. Disappeared before charges could be filed, along with approximately $12 million of investors' money. Is it the same man? The description matches. But here's where it gets interesting. The Charles Ellison from Florida had a daughter. Named Valerie, not Vanessa. Olivia sank into a chair, her suspicions crystallizing into certainty. They've done this before. Multiple times, from what I can gather, Lucas confirmed. The pattern is consistent. Valerie, or Vanessa, or whatever name she's using, targets wealthy men. Professionals, usually. She establishes a whirlwind romance, pushes for marriage, then vanishes with as much money as she can access. Meanwhile, Charles sets up the next mark. We need to warn Ben, Olivia said, already reaching for her phone. They're still in Bali for another day, Lucas reminded her. No phones, remember? And we need more than suspicions. We need proof that would stand up in court. What kind of proof? Financial records showing the transfer of funds. Evidence of previous identities. Something concrete that your son can't dismiss as his mother's overactive imagination. Olivia thought for a moment. The Christensens' summer party is tomorrow night. Ben and Vanessa are supposed to be there. What if we confront them with what we know? Force their hand? Confrontations can be unpredictable, Lucas warned. If they feel cornered, there's no telling what they might do. But Olivia's mind was made up. After nearly 2 years of watching Vanessa erase her from Ben's life, after months of being dismissed and demeaned, she finally had the upper hand. I'll see you at the party, she told Lucas. Bring everything you've got. The night of the Christensens' annual summer gala arrived hot and humid, the air thick with the scent of roses and money. Olivia arrived alone, her navy cocktail dress simple but elegant among the designer labels and custom jewelry. Lucas would arrive separately, posing as a business associate of one of the guests. Catherine intercepted her near the champagne fountain. Please tell me you're not here to make a scene, she hissed, taking in Olivia's determined expression. I'm here to protect my son. From what, exactly? Olivia glanced around to ensure they weren't overheard. Vanessa isn't who she claims to be. Neither is her father. They're con artists, Kath. They've done this before. Catherine's skepticism was evident. And you know this how? I hired a private investigator. Of course you did. Catherine sighed heavily. Olivia, this obsession isn't healthy. You need to. There they are, Olivia interrupted, spotting Ben and Vanessa making their entrance. They looked radiant, tanned from their tropical honeymoon, Ben's arm wrapped protectively around his wife's waist. Don't do anything rash, Catherine pleaded, but Olivia was already moving toward them, her heart pounding in her ears. Ben saw her first, his smile faltering slightly before he recovered. Mom. I didn't know you'd be here. Carol Christensen and I go way back, Olivia replied, forcing a smile. You both look wonderful. Bolly agreed with you. It was magical, Vanessa gushed, her eyes never quite meeting Olivia's. We're already planning our next trip. Paris in the fall, perhaps. How lovely. Though I'm surprised you're not headed to Dubai. Olivia watched Vanessa's face carefully. I hear there's an important deal closing there soon. A flash of panic crossed Vanessa's perfect features, there and gone in an instant. I'm not sure what you mean. No? Olivia tilted her head. Perhaps your father could clarify. Or should I call him by his Florida name? Ben's confusion was evident. Mom, what are you talking about? Before Olivia could respond, Charles Ellison materialized beside them, his charm firmly in place despite the tension radiating from his daughter. Olivia. How delightful to see you again. He kissed her cheek, his grip on her arm just short of painful. Ben, Vanessa, could I borrow your mother for a moment? There's someone I'd love for her to meet. Without waiting for a response, Charles steered Olivia toward a quieter corner of the garden. Once they were out of earshot, his demeanor changed instantly. Whatever game you think you're playing, he said, his voice low and dangerous, I suggest you reconsider. Olivia held her ground. It's over, Charles. Or should I call you Christopher? That was your name in Seattle, wasn't it? Before you and Valerie disappeared with that tech executive's retirement fund. A flicker of genuine surprise crossed his face before his mask slipped back into place. Impressive research. Misguided, but impressive. I know everything, Olivia pressed. About Florida, Seattle, Denver. I know about the Ponzi scheme, the investors you left destitute. And I know what you're planning to do to my son. Charles studied her for a long moment, assessing. What exactly do you want, Olivia? I want you and your daughter to disappear from Ben's life. Tonight. Leave him with his money, his dignity, and whatever explanation helps him sleep at night. A slow smile spread across Charles's face. Or what? You'll go to the police? Create a scene here, in front of all these lovely people? How do you think that will reflect on Ben? On his judgment? His career? If that's what it takes to protect him, yes. Charles's smile widened. You know, in all our ventures, I've never encountered a mother quite as persistent as you. It's almost admirable. Almost? It would be, if it weren't so pathetically transparent. This isn't about protecting Ben. It's about controlling him. Keeping him dependent on you. You can't stand that he's chosen Vanessa over you. The accusation struck too close to home, touching Olivia's deepest fear. That's not true. Isn't it? Look at you, hiring private investigators, stalking your own son. The desperate actions of a woman who can't let go. Charles shook his head in mock sympathy. Ben deserves better. Yes, Olivia agreed quietly. He does. Which is why I'm giving you this one chance to walk away. Because my next stop isn't the police, Charles. It's the FBI. Fraud across state lines? That's federal. For the first time, uncertainty flickered in Charles's eyes. He glanced across the garden to where Vanessa and Ben stood talking with another couple, his daughter's hand resting possessively on Ben's arm. You have no proof that would hold up, he said, but there was less conviction in his voice. Don't I? Olivia pulled out her phone, showing him a photo of a younger Charles, then Christopher, being led away from a Seattle courthouse in handcuffs. My investigator has been quite thorough. And quite eager to share his findings with the proper authorities. A tense silence stretched between them. Then Charles smiled, a cold, calculating expression that sent a chill down Olivia's spine. Well played, he conceded. You've forced my hand sooner than anticipated. But remember this moment, Olivia. Remember that you chose it. He walked away, rejoining Vanessa and Ben with practiced ease. Olivia watched as he whispered something in his daughter's ear, saw Vanessa's eyes widen slightly before her composure returned. Lucas appeared at Olivia's side, his expression grim. How did it go? I'm not sure, she admitted. But I think we've spooked them. What's our next move? I've alerted the FBI. They're interested in Charles, or Christopher, for the Florida case. They've been looking for him for years. And Vanessa? She's implicated in at least 3 of the schemes I've identified. They'll want to question her too. Olivia's gaze never left the trio across the garden. Ben looked happy, unsuspecting. Vanessa was smiling up at him, her arm linked through his, the perfect adoring wife. Will they arrest them tonight? Lucas shook his head. They're building their case. It could be days, maybe weeks. In the meantime, we need to make sure your son's assets are protected. Ben won't listen to me, Olivia said sadly. He thinks I'm interfering again. Then we need concrete proof. Something he can't dismiss. Lucas's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. The honeymoon's over. They'll be making their move soon. As if on cue, Olivia's phone buzzed with a text. From Ben. Asterisk something came up. Vanessa and I need to leave early. Can we meet for breakfast tomorrow? Lucas touched Olivia's arm. Something's happening. Be careful, this could be a diversion. I have to go, Olivia whispered. If they're planning to run. The next morning, Olivia arrived at Ben's favorite breakfast spot 30 minutes early, her heart pounding with anticipation and dread. She chose a table with a clear view of the entrance, Lucas positioned discreetly at a corner booth. When Ben entered alone, his expression grave, Olivia knew something had changed. Ben, she began, but the words died in her throat when she saw the devastation in his eyes. She's gone, he said simply, collapsing into the chair across from her. Vanessa's gone. And so is nearly everything in our accounts. A complicated wave of emotions washed over Olivia, vindication, relief, and heart-wrenching sorrow for her son's pain. When, she asked softly. Last night. After the party. His voice was hollow. She said she was going to her father's to pick up wedding photos. This morning I woke up to emptied accounts and a note. Ben, I'm so sorry. She reached for his hand, expecting him to pull away. Instead, he gripped her fingers tightly. You knew, didn't you? Somehow, you knew all along. Olivia nodded slowly. I tried to tell you. I heard them talking at the rehearsal dinner. A tear slid down Ben's cheek. I should have listened. Mom, I'm sorry, for everything. She moved to his side of the table, holding her son as he hadn't allowed her to do in years. Over his shoulder, she caught Lucas's eye as he discreetly signaled that authorities had been notified. The Ellisons, or whatever their real names were, wouldn't get far. The money might be gone, but justice would follow. "We'll get through this," Olivia promised, stroking Ben's hair. "Together." And for the first time in years, she felt the wall between them begin to crumble.